there?
And I have to say that we're recording the meeting because we want it for the minutes, and I think other people are also recording the meeting, so there'll be multiple recordings of it.
Okay. Greg's not present right now. Okay, Frank.
So basically the question is, do we agree to record the meeting? Is that it?
You got no choice.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Okay,
Great, that's fine.
okay. So did I get did I find Greg here? No?
Greg will be late if he comes at all.
Okay, Frank.
Sure, I agree.
Okay. Are you there? Is Frank present? It's hard for me to see on this stuff. Yes?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I'm here. I'm just
Okay.
teleconference.
Iris.
Yeah. Yeah.
Iris. Are you there, Iris? My treasurer.
Yeah.
And and I think that's it for now then. All right then, let's see. I call to order. Okay, public comment. We give 3 minutes. I'll have Richard do the timing, and I can extend that if I need to. All right then. Who do we have? Richard, do you have who's present for public comment there? I don't hear. I'm sorry.
Richard's muted.
Okay.
Who would like to do public comment first?
The one that's coming up my screen is Mike Klein. Shall we do him first?
Does he want to do public comment?
Given the limited time, I'm going to give my time to others.
You can't do that.
Well,
I'm
withdrawing my request.
You can use your time. You can use your time.
I'm withdrawing my request.
You're drawing your request. Okay, fair enough. Who's the next person for public comment then?
I thought Liz wanted to do public comment. Does she still want to do it?
Yes, I'm here.
Are you there, Liz? Okay.
Yep, I'm here. Thank you.
Okay.
So my name is Liz. I have 3 children at the school, and I live in Longmeadow. So I want to start off by just talking a little bit about and asking questions to Mr. Bagley about the organizational structure of the board.
I'm sorry, Liz. This is not a discussion. It's you're making comment. But
I know. I understand.
I don't respond to your comments.
Right, but they're supposed to be addressed to you, so that's why I'm doing it this way.
That's fine.
Right. Okay. So the Board of Trustees is in charge of both the executive director and the principal. In the charter, it talks a lot about the organizational structure. You can see also in the annual reports that the way that the structure is done is the executive director and the principal report directly to the Board of Trustees. So it is concerning that at the last meeting, Mr. Alcorn said, "I serve at the pleasure of the board." Mr. Alcorn, I think it needs to be really clear, is actually an employee of the school. And the organizational structure is very specific in how it's laid out in the charter, and we need to make sure that we're following it. The second piece that I want to make sure that everyone is aware of is that this is a public charter school. And that means that you guys are getting public funds. And so those need to really be accounted for. When we had the finance committee, it was notable that there was no public comment allowed. But when you start to dig a little bit into what's been going on with the public funds, it is cause for concern. The first concern I have is that all of the funding that is coming to you from all of the sending districts is a significant amount of money. What we can also see from the annual reports from last year, 2022, up until the annual report of 2023, is that the administration went from $870,000 in a salary to over $1.1 million in an annual salary. That does not account teachers, that does not account for special ed, that is simply administrative salaries. So in a year's time, the administration gave them about a $270,000 increase in their salary. That is cause for concern because where else is that money going from? It's certainly not going to the funding for classroom supplies, because I'm getting emails asking for people to say, can you pay $10 for noise canceling headphones? It's not going to get certified teachers because we know that 3 of the 4 primary 3rd grade teachers don't even have their teaching license. So I'm concerned about the board's inability or lack of ability to really look at the budget, analyze it, and see why is that money going to the administrative salaries. The other concern I have is regarding this building. So this building was purchased, and I am wondering if the Chinese school has been prepaying the rent from the money you're getting from the sending districts. That is of concern as a parent to me, because that money's not going to my kid. That money's not going to what my kid needs. It's going for future children, and that is of concern. The final point I'd like to make is the money and the building is purchased from the Educational Foundation. Now, when you look on the Secretary of State website, you can see that there is one person who makes over $100,000 in a salary from the Educational Foundation, and that person is Kathy Wang. Kathy Wang makes over $100,000, and according to the tax filings, she does 1 hour of work a week for that Educational Foundation. Meanwhile, you've got the Chinese school who is prepaying rent and paying hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to that Educational Foundation, and the only person who's making money off of that is the principal. Finally, I would note, I don't know what the oversight is, and I'm curious if this board has control over the Educational Foundation, because you can also see that last year, Kathy and Richard's son was appointed as a director. Who made that decision? Was there a conflicts of interest check? And how can we be sure that there's transparency in how this money is being spent when salaries are going up, the board is rubber stamping everything, and the Educational Foundation is buying a $10 million building, and we can't even get the school supplies for our kids? Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. I appreciate it. Does anybody else? Does anybody else?
Let me just jump in here for a second. I just
Who
want
are
to.
Who are you?
This is Frank. Frank.
Oh, Frank, please. This is public comment. We're not. Is not a time for a discussion. What it is.
It's not a discussion. It's not a discussion. It's not a discussion. I just want to commend the parent for coming forward and bringing these concerns. And I just want to let the parent know that the board does oversee.
Run your meeting, Mr. Chairperson. Run your meeting, Mr. Chairperson. Run your.
Please. Look, this is not a point where it's a discussion. What we do is we give this opportunity for someone to make a presentation, but we don't we don't answer I mean, there are a lot of things that could have been answered, but it's not the place to do that. So I need to know whether anybody else has got public comment out there.
I believe Rachel wanted to make public comment.
Yes, I do.
Okay, Rachel, please go ahead.
Hi, thank you. Hi, Rachel Fiore of Springfield. For my comment tonight, I would like to focus on how concerns from surveys and stakeholder meetings were represented to the board before the amendment proposal was sent to the state by Richard Alcorn last month. At the board meeting, we heard him understate parental concerns as a vocal few. I found many concerning themes in the surveys. I would also like to address how the board responded to these concerns within the meeting last month. And I want everybody who is listening, any parents, to know that they can just request the parent surveys with a simple email to the school, and you can get all of the comments that were made by all of the parents. And when I saw those, it confirmed that it's not just a vocal few. You, the Board of Trustees, are charged to uphold the terms of this charter. The charter is required to focus on family engagement, access, and equity, among several other official criteria that they are looking at when they're deciding whether to expand. Rather than even acknowledging some of the concerns voiced, Alcorn writes that parents have a wish list for things they are excited for. According to that document, special education is running strong, but I would like to say out loud that my personal experience with the LEAD administration last year is that there are systems in high places pushing kids out that don't fit the school's goal of high achievement and proficiency. If parents don't know their rights, they will be told, as I was, by the administration, that the school can't accommodate them. and imply that it doesn't have to before their children even have an opportunity to thrive. Another way to say this more clearly and more damningly is if parents don't know what their civil rights are, they may be discriminated against here. It's not okay, and it is a threat to the school as a whole. I would like to remind everyone listening that charter public schools funded by state and federal tax dollars, and that means all students have the right to attend and not be discriminated against because of their circumstances. This means a ramp for a wheelchair user, but it also means various academic and behavior supports for a student's unique developmental and medical needs. If you read the language of these criteria, it doesn't say PVCICS is responsible to most students eligible to attend. It says all students again and again. What will it take? Curious about why parents are upset instead of just pushing through votes as if they've already been decided in private ahead of time. I watched major concerns raised, and instead of letting you address any of it, your lawyer told you not to respond to any of us. And then you voted unanimously to submit an amendment proposal to expand the school that misrepresents the experience of many families. The survey results prove that this isn't just a vocal few. Read the comments, board members. Trust has been eroded for many of us. Some of us still have the privilege to simply be annoyed at the ongoing communication issues. Others are fighting for our civil rights. Others are trying to figure out if their kids are going to be faced with the choice of athletics or changing schools because there's no bus service for out-of-towners to get home after practice. And of course, there will be
3-minute mark at this point.
many. I'm not sure that the policy is 3 minutes. I'm pretty sure it's 5 minutes until you pass your thing that you've already decided you're going to vote on.
I'm not going to discuss it, but I'll let you continue for a little.
Thank you. I'm almost done. Trust has been eroded for many of us. Some of us still have the privilege to simply be annoyed at the ongoing communication issues. Others are trying to figure out if their kids are going to be faced with the choice of athletics or changing schools because there's no bus service for out-of-towners to get home.
We're getting repetition
practice.
here. We're getting repetition here. Do you have anything new to say?
Yeah, I'm getting to it. I'm starting over so that people can hear what I'm saying.
We don't have time.
Right? It was 2 sentences. And of course, there will be many parents grossly unaware of what a publicly funded entity's responsibilities are in regards to equality and civil rights. It is the board's responsibility to address this with the administration. Show us we are valued stakeholders. You claim we are in your amendment proposal to expand.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you for your comments. All right. Let's see. Are
sorry,
there any other public comments before I move on to other things?
Yes.
Anybody who hasn't spoken?
Yeah, I got a public comment as a parent, so let me talk.
Sorry,
for a second.
who's will you identify yourself?
It's Frank. Frank,
Oh,
let me talk. Let's talk
Well,
for a
I
second.
think
You need to.
Okay.
let's let EM talk.
Frank, you need to register first for public comment. That's a requirement.
Okay,
So just let me jump in here for a minute here. Let me talk. Let me talk for a second here, okay?
Chairman,
So
please run your meeting.
I heard,
Please
This
run your-
is
I
so
heard-
ridiculous. If we can
Mr.
only talk
Chairman,
for
Okay,
Please run the
okay. I'm
meeting.
bringing in the.
We cannot- no.
just
Frank,
let me say
you're on
one
the
thing.
board.
Let me-
Frank, you're on the board. You don't really need public comment.
I'm also
you
a
can
parent.
speak-
I'm also a parent, so let me just
I
say
know,
a
but
couple things.
you didn't enroll and ask for to speak. So I'm ruling you out on this one. I'm sorry though, Frank.
okay,
We will have an opportunity
No, you're
during
gonna
the
let me talk
meeting.
for a second. No, you're
Well-
gonna let me talk as a parent. I'm gonna jump in here. I'm gonna say a couple things, okay?
No,
So I
no,
wanna
no.
say-
Listen to me.
Chairman,
No,
please
listen
run
to
your
me.
meeting,
Listen
Mr.
to me,
Chairman.
please.
Please
If
run your
he
meeting.
can talk, then we can all talk. That is not fair.
That's right.
okay. We
Run
have,
the
couple
meeting,
things,
Mr. Chairman.
EM wants to speak, so let's let EM speak, who's presumably a parent?
Yes, hello. Also, my understanding was that we had 5 minutes because the new public comment policy is being voted on tonight and it's not in effect. Also, my understanding per open meeting law is that the chair runs public comment, so I'm not sure why non-board members are interrupting parents or jumping in. So I'd like to just put that
Will you
out there.
clar-
And
will you
now I'd
clarify
like,
that? will you clarify that? Who is interrupting you? I'm running on a Zoom. It's hard for me to.
Oh, no, I just mean, well, Mr. Alcorn's chiming in, but he's not the chair or a board member, so I'm not sure why he is
he helps me run
interjecting during this section because under public comment law, the chair is responsible for managing public comment. So again, we're all trying to follow the rules here. If we're being limited to time, we're trying to respect that. But I hope other people, including board members and school administration, will respect those procedures as well, because that's what you're telling us to do.
Okay.
So
Now,
I just
what was your public comment then?
Yes, I'd like to start that now. Thank you. My name is Erin McCarthy. I'm a resident of Granby with a child in the school. Tonight, the PVCICS Board of Trustees is voting to implement a new public comment policy, which reduces the amount of time parents and other stakeholders have to speak at these meetings to 3 minutes from 5 minutes. And this measure, to me, speaks volumes about how little the school and the board value parent engagement and opinion. This new policy was unexpectedly introduced at the September 24th special board meeting, immediately after 4 parents spoke out against the increased enrollment during public comment. I'll remind the board that frequent and thorough communication and engagement with parents and families are core standards outlined in the school charter that you are charged with upholding. But rather than inviting parents to help create a community and support our educators, we have been completely shut out, as other parents have noted tonight. And parents sense it, which is why a group of first grade parents wrote to the administration last month complaining about the lack of communication. It's why more of us are showing up here, because we are not being heard or treated like stakeholders. And it's one reason many of us feel that now is not the right time to add 100 students when parents were never surveyed on it, and administration only cared about our opinion a few days, quite a bit. And the most obvious example of this parental exclusion is the handling of these very meetings. It's what we're seeing right now tonight. This week's finance committee meeting was held at the same time one of our school sports teams celebrated senior night, which automatically excluded a lot of parents and teachers from attending that meeting. And while we get plenty of email reminders about fun things like the Boo Bash, which I love, there are no community-wide emails or reminders inviting families to these meetings from the board or the school administration. For that reason, most families don't even know what this board is. In the most recent parent survey, 52% of families said they were, quote, not at all familiar with the board. And 92% of families said they never attended a board meeting last year. When asked why families never went to a board meeting, roughly 50 of the 85 written comments blamed a lack of communication or information. And just a sampling of the comments from the survey. So the question was, if you did not attend a PVCICS Board of Trustees meeting, please explain why. 1, I don't know what that is. 5, I don't know when they happen, what I would learn from attending, or how I would prepare for attending. There is a lack of information about time, place, agendas, trustee info. Don't recall receiving an invitation. I don't believe the meetings were announced. Most likely I would have attended at least one, especially if the agenda was published in advance. I've never received an invite or any information on the Board of Trustees since my kids started here. I'm happy to participate and learn more. I was unaware they were open to the public. And more people saying they've never heard of these meetings, they don't know how to attend, and would like to participate or see a recording and be involved in their students. So to close, if you want someone to show up at your party, you send them an invitation. If you want to hear someone's opinion, you give them time. So I have 5 action items I'd like to ask of the board, some of which I already shared in September. 1, I again asked Board Chair Bagley and the other trustees to please detail how you plan to keep the school administration accountable for improving communication with parents and increasing overall transparency and parent satisfaction. 2, will the board commit to scheduling and attending a stakeholder meeting that includes parents, the board, and an administration this fall? 3, as previously asked, will the board provide the school community with individual emails for each board member so stakeholders can reach specific members directly without including the very administrators that the board oversees? 4, will the board to commit to emailing the entire school community about all scheduled trustees meetings and their event and their agendas with advance notice of at least 48 to 72 hours? And lastly, I strongly encourage you, the board, to reject this public comment policy measure that will further stifle parental involvement and opinion, and instead move toward fulfilling the charter's vision for a vibrant school culture of collaboration and community. Your answers to these questions and how you vote on this public comment policy will tell us whether you want to be a vehicle for parental involvement and community building, or one that further erodes our trust in the board and the school and the administration. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Are there any other people who are signed up for public comment that are not on the board? All right, then let's move on. Richard, we need to handle the board email policy.
You're muted, Richard.
Richard, I think you're being muted. I'm sorry.
The request is that we've had a request to create a email address that's for the board. That's been done. It's PVCICS board, I believe, at this point. It's up on the school website associated with the board webpage, but I would suggest that we need to have a motion to acknowledge the new email address and also to authorize the administration to modify any documents that mention, contacting the board to say that we're now using this new email address. Because I'm not sure, it may be in the family handbook or other handbooks, and so I want authorization to modify any handbooks that reference, contacting the board to use the updated email address, if that's okay.
Okay. All right, then we need a motion. Was that a motion?
I can't make a motion.
Okay.
I'll make the motion. Frank will make the motion.
Okay.
No discussion?
Okay.
Second, Gina.
Was there a second?
Need a second.
Yes, Gina, thank you.
All right. Any discussion?
Yes, this is Mike. I want to clarify the policy. Richard mentioned one email address for the entire board, but all of the parents who spoke mentioned the fact that they want access to all of the individual board members' emails. What is this policy going to do in terms of that?
It does nothing in terms of that, but if you want to do that, the board can do that. And the question then becomes, do you want to go back to creating PVCICS boards for each board member, or how do you want to pursue that? That's been a topic of conversation in the past. The challenge is that if you have a PVCICS specific email address, you have to track that as well independently. And I don't know about you, but having multiple email addresses is sometimes a challenge, but there are reasons to do it. But that's up to the board. But this request is just to create a central email address that people can email to that is administrated by the chair and is a way to contact the board.
Okay, and so that specific email address, that information will be forwarded directly to the board chair and not.
The email address is controlled by the board chair.
Yeah. And then what would happen if we need a filter for material, otherwise you're going to be flooded with with things that you might not want to be flooded with. So what would happen is that I would make a decision to forward it or bring it to the meeting or some other solution. So that will be my recommendation. But I'm if you guys want to have your inboxes loaded up I'm happy that you should do that too, but I don't think you'll be very happy.
No, I was attempting to clarify, you know, what the access would be. And
Right.
I'm very comfortable with all of the requests going through the board chair, and then the chair, you know, making sure that the other board members are aware of specific things that have come to his attention.
That's what. Okay. Any other discussion?
I
All right.
also agree with Mike in that I would prefer that all communication to the board is filtered through you, Charles.
Thank you. Then that's it. Any other comment? All right, then we need to move to the vote, and the vote needs to be done by a roll call. All right. Is Cynthia back yet? No? Anne? Oh, we need to vote on this. Anne?
Anne's not here.
Oh, she's not? I'm sorry. Oh, that's right. Shinpei? Shinpei?
Yes.
Okay, good. Gina?
Yes.
Okay. Michael?
Yes,
Is Greg here?
Greg won't make it tonight.
Okay. Okay, Frank?
Yes.
Okay. Iris?
Yes.
Okay, I think that's it then, and me, yes. So it's unanimous. All right, let's move. The next thing is public comment policy. So what I've done here is we've been working with our lawyer in order to come up with a public policy, a written public policy. We do have a policy, but it's by tradition rather than by it being written. But I'm going to postpone that because I want the board to have time to be able to read it and be able to be informed for our next meeting. So I'm going to be tabling that item. Okay. Next one, student representative vote. There's some technical issues that need to be resolved, and I'll talk more about this at the next meeting. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to postpone that one. Right. The next item is DESE accountability virtual visit date. We need a vote. Richard, would you clarify that for me?
Yeah, we're going through a mid-cycle review. And so the DESE wants to have a virtual meeting with the board. They've suggested a date of April 15th. So it's well off. And I just wanted to sort of notify the board and get the board to vote to say they accept that date to respond to DESE to say that's okay with us.
Thank you. All right. Let's see. Minutes. I'm going to suggest they've essentially just come out, and so what I want to do is postpone the reading of that so that people have time to actually read those minutes.
But I would like a vote for the board to accept the April 15th date for the virtual meeting. Is that
Okay. All right. Let's do that. Then I make a motion that we accept the April date for the virtual meeting. Let's see. Do I have a second?
Second, Mike.
Okay, excellent. Do I have any discussion here? Yeah, okay, fair enough. Let's go through it then. Anne. Oh, no, sorry, Anne's not here. She's late. Okay, Shinpei.
Yes.
Okay, Gina. Gina?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Mike?
Yes,
Okay. Frank? Frank?
Yes. Yes.
All right then. Iris?
Yes.
Okay, and myself, yes. Did everybody have an opportunity to vote? Did I miss anybody? No? Okay, good. Then it passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay. Sorry. Okay, we're postponing the minutes because people need time to review those. Okay, we come to committees and task force reports. The trustee committee, do you have any, do you have a report for us? Trustee committee?
I have nothing to report as chair of the committee.
Thank you. Finance committee, we've got an audit an audit report that we need to vote on. Do you want me to speak on this, Aris, or do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so what we did, we met with the auditors and we went through the audit. We had an unanimous vote that by the way, it was completely clear. We had a unanimous vote that it was that we will put it to the board for your vote to accept the audit. I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do at this point. Would you help me, Richard? Was there something else that I need to do here?
For the audit, basically the committee met and reviewed. There was a management letter that was presented by the auditor. They presented the actual audit itself and summarized the financials. The finance committee voted on to make a recommendation that the full board accept the audit. And the prominent feature of the audit was there were no findings. I think the school had a surplus of a little over $100,000 for the year. But usually the concern is, were there any findings or anything untoward? And the answer is no. And so it's a clean audit. So the finance committee voted to recommend. The full board needs to vote to accept the audit. And we need to submit that to the state by November 1st. And so basically the board will vote to decide if they want to accept the audit. If that's done, then the board chair or the secretary will sign a letter accepting the audit, and it will be forwarded to the state and other parties to be a record. The school has had clean audits for years. There's a metric that's used by the state that's what's it called? There's something called the financial dashboards for charter schools. And so anybody who wants to look can go look at the financial results for the school for the last 5 years. They give little indicators. Are you green or yellow or red kind of stuff? And we're pretty much green across the board. We've been in very good financial shape for years, and we continue to be, and there's no findings against the school. So that's but right now you need to make a motion to accept the audit, right? And authorize either the chair or the secretary to sign the acceptance letter, so we can submit it to the state.
All right, I'm gonna take that as the motion. Would anyone like to put that motion on the floor? I need a volunteer for that. I'll do it then. Okay, so I'm making the motion, but it's just been uttered, and I need a second. Is a second for this, for the audit, accepting the audit.
Second, Mike.
Thank you very much. Is there any discussion? I hear none. All right, let's go to the vote then. It has to be by roll call, I'm afraid.
Can I just make a remark on, there was some suggestion that people were drawing a salary from the foundation earlier, and just in terms of the finances, no one draws a salary from the foundation. The foundation has no paid employees. All the foundation is it basically holds the real estate on behalf of the school. It's a subcomponent of the school. So
That's actually not true. You can actually look
Please,
at the
please,
Secretary
please,
of State website.
you're not
and see
authorized to
that.
speak at this
Come
time.
on, Richard, that's not true.
Liz,
That's not true.
Liz,
Richard,
what
would
you're
you
saying
please
is not
close her
true.
off?
There's no one pulling a salary from the foundation.
Richard, you can't comment on public comment. You know that.
Please, let's stop this.
But you did add your son
Please
to
stop it.
director.
All right, let's move on. I'm sorry. I'm moving on to the vote. Let's see. I got Shinpei, the audit.
Yes.
Oh, I should mention, either the secretary or myself will be the one that signs it if you approve it. Okay, we'll leave it open just in case one of us gets sick or something. Okay, all right, fair enough. Gina,
Yes.
okay, good. Michael,
Yes,
let's see, Frank,
Yes.
okay, Iris,
Yes.
and me, yes. Have I missed anybody? Then it's unanimous, and we.
Cynthia put her vote in the chat. I think she did.
Cynthia's
Cynthia
here, I don't know, but she's muted.
clarified.
Okay. Did she vote against?
No, but I'm not, it's not clear.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Let me log off of the other computer.
Okay, Cynthia, welcome back.
I've been here. I just
Oh.
can't, I don't know why you couldn't see me or hear me on my other computer. I had to switch devices.
Okay, so we're
I've
right
been
now,
just
we're voting
voting
on the audit, and we've just had everybody vote except for you, to accept the audit report, and so it can get sent to the state in
Yeah, I vote yes. I've been here the whole time, so.
I'm sorry. Okay, thanks, Cynthia. All right, then it is unanimous, so let's move on. I'll sign it, or the secretary will sign that. All right, I'm sorry. Okay, Personnel Committee. Is a report from the Personnel Committee?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. There's no report from the Personnel Committee.
Thank you. All right, let's see, we got a principal's update.
Hi, everybody, it's Kathy. I was gonna share a screen and I need host privileges to do that. Is that somebody needs to make me host to be able to share the screen? Oh,
Let me find you.
They just have to let everybody share. You don't have to be host, Kathy. They just have to.
thank you, Mr. Klein. Right now I get an error message, so we will fix this. Okay, let's get going. Okay, could somebody just acknowledge that they can see
You're up.
a screen? Okay, great, excellent. Thank you so much for coming to the meeting. I wanted to go over just sort of what I usually do, but also add specific agenda items that are on the agenda. We are, as of today, the students have completed 40 school days. There are, just to remind people, there are 180 school days. The students have done really well. It was one of the smoothest transitions. It's been 5 years since COVID, and I think each year gets better. And you know, that phrase feels more normal. I think it really does feel more normal. Part of that also is we have had in-person curriculum nights for K through 5. I didn't write it on this slide, but I just wanted to talk that through. And it was wonderful seeing the parents come into the building. I will say that appreciation to the teachers, for some teachers who had not done an in-person curriculum night or even an in-person meeting. They were nervous because I want parents to understand also that many of the teachers, the COVID period doing lockdown and changing different models was as stressful as it was for some parents. So the first quarter does end on, oddly enough, Halloween. That is the 45th day. This impacts the high school students a little bit more, and I welcome to Henry and Fran as our high school student reps. When I say impacts, they are more aware of the sort of mid-semester boundary than K through 8, simply because that's the rhythm, so to speak, in the high school. grading and everything. Plus for seniors, the Q1 boundary is also sort of a reminder that if they are applying early to college for early decision or early action, that those November and sometimes December deadlines are soon upon them. This said, we covered this a little bit in the September meeting, and certainly for some of you parents who read the FAQ that was sent out about the charter amendment, we are at full enrollment at our maximum enrollment. This means for the coming year, we won't necessarily have enough slots to admit full classes. And so this is a concern. We are one of, I think, 6 charter schools total. I think there's 4 or 5 other charter schools in this annual cycle applying for increase in headcount. So this is a pretty routine thing for charter schools to do. And so, you know, it is a public process, and I think we did review that particular process. I tried to provide background information in the FAQ for everybody to aware of it. I did want to mention that about 10 years ago, we actually also were anticipating growth. The popularity of the school over the years has increased. When we first opened the school, my goodness, in 2007, 18 years ago, we did do a 10-year rollout plan, and now we're in year 18. So again, for those of you that were not here, which is actually quite a few of you, although we do have some senior staff who've been there, the growth is very slow and actually very measured. I know for some parents that preference is a smaller school, but I think there's many factors that and facts that if you look at our elementary school, for example, it has about 250 students. Our middle school has about 160 students. Our high school right now is about 140, 150 students. Those are very small enrollments for those schools. Now, collectively, 584 sounds like a large number, but in reality, it's not. So moving right along. I want a big shout out to all the teachers, and Shinpei is our teacher rep. This week, we've had 3 days of intensive parent-teacher conferences, and we're entering the Q2 final half. I do want to make a comment about parent-teacher conferences. They are meant to be check-ins. It is a time where we hope that parents will be able to sign up for one. Right now, I've been monitoring the sign-up sheets. The way we do it, just for board members, if they're not a parent or not familiar with it, we do have electronic sign-up, and they sign up for their slot. For elementary, it's 20 minutes. For middle and high school, they're 10-minute slots with each subject teacher. And I was trying to do some rough calculations here in terms of how many actual conferences are going on. You know, for example, in elementary, there's about 264 students. I mean, I just said 250, but that's rough estimates. So 4 separate conferences with parents to just give them a quick check-in, a quick here's how it's going. Certainly, if there's a need for more extensive dialogue, that's done at another time. For middle and high school, we have it by subject teacher, and there are multiple teachers per subject. Those are quick 10-minute check-ins. You know, they're running at least 200 different slots for these things. We do know that if we can't fit them in during these 3 days, we will schedule them at an alternate time. And this is how it's done in essentially all schools. There are schools that are even larger than us that have, you know, 1,000 students. And sometimes the rules for those schools are you only have a conference if your student may be, you know, at a D or an F. But we're trying to fit everyone in, and I'll thank the parents. Turnout has been, you know, we always hit essentially close to 100%. I did have a couple parents say that they were traveling or they were too busy with work this week that they could not sign up, but we're going to do it again. Well, not again, but they'll have an opportunity to sign up directly with the teacher at a time convenient. And then for 1 or 2 teachers, this happens every year. They may have had a planned reason to be out for personal days. And so their sign up this week may have only had, 1 day or 1.5 days. They have separate signups that are not sent to all parents. They're sent to their specific group of parents so that they can sign up as well. But I commend all the staff who are working diligently. It is a time where internally we do put out our snacks and energy bars and lots of coffee for staff to be able to get through these back-to-back conferences. And a final handbook is online, accessible to all. When parents do the annual registration form, this is all parents, we do it now through PowerSchool. Their online annual registration forms, this is again, all parents, old and new. They have to fill out and update their contact information, emergency information. We have policies, we have procedures, it's now 130 pages of information. There is information about athletics, the bus, the board, there is information about the board and board meetings in the family handbook, and parents do acknowledge reading this document when they do the annual registration form. So I do appreciate parents transitioning. It's actually been a 4 or 5 year process transitioning away from paper forms. And so we are now exclusively online unless people request paper forms. That is also true for report cards, progress reports. We're also trying to push out all school communications. And I know that I've sent out things directly through email most recently. So we are working on different channels of communication. So moving right along, because I want to watch the time. Some of the neat things we've done in person, and also we're getting back to regular things. We hosted a group from Clark University. These are pre-service teachers who want to see what it's like in a school like ours. Their professor is all the way to the right, Dr. Rogers. I've actually known him for almost 2 decades. His work, he started as a history teacher, but his work primarily now is looking at school models, equity, diversity, and he is very dedicated to training teachers. The other professors, she also trains teachers, and then all the other people are students from Clark. So they spent a morning with us. We basically give them a schedule, and they get to observe classes, and then we do a debrief. And some of the comments that they said was they've never seen a school like ours, just not only the range of the ages, but also the diversity, because students come from such a large region of service. And so I think for them, they also never really seen Chinese language classes, because our school is still, after 18 years, unique in the state of Massachusetts. So I always enjoy seeing pre-service teachers. Clark University is one of the universities that are sort of in our local area that we partner with. They last visited in 2022. They couldn't make it last year, but they did come, and I hope to see them again. We also partner with Mount Holyoke, Smith College, and UMass. This year we're hosting right now 4 students, a combination Mount Holyoke and University of Massachusetts. So that is, again, shout out to teachers, because it's time for them also to supervise and mentor pre-service teachers. And I bring this up because one of the most important things, obviously, is the quality of our teaching staff. As a charter school, not all positions are required to be licensed. However, many of our teachers are licensed. They are required to take the teacher licensing test. So that's what new teachers do when they arrive. They have a grace period in which to do that. This is by contrast to a regular public school district where licensing is required. So some of the statistics that parents are looking at, there is a difference in the teacher requirement districts. But again, we are connecting with pre-service teachers who are in schools of education. jumping to something a little closer to home, we are piloting this year, and I had these discussions actually starting 2 years ago with the UMass engineering clubs, and there's multiple engineering clubs. But this summer, we connected with the Hispanic Students Engineering Club at UMass. And initially, I was going to have them come in and do a project. So 2 years ago, the engineering club at UMass, in connection with the permaculture garden there, put in a rainwater collection system in the back of our building for our new school garden. Fast forward to this year, in connecting with them, they didn't want to just do a project, because I had a whole sort of irrigation environmental project that would have been connected with our environmental program or our environmental sciences class, but they wanted actually to do some lessons with students. So this is a small pilot. And when I say pilot, it was something that, we had to announce very late because the UMass students only arrived back on campus in late August, July. And they said, oh, why don't we do like 6 or 7 little test lessons with some students. Mr. Markle is one of our faculty in high school, and he agreed to advise the club. We had anywhere from 4 to 6 high school students who could stay, do some projects and lessons with the UMass Engineering Club. And those are undergraduates. And this is just a picture I took literally last week of them outside. They did a soil analysis lesson. They also previously did lessons on introduction to Arduino, so the kids would have a sort of capstone thing that they did was a field trip to UMass to go to the driving simulator, which I heard was real enough that some of them got car sick. But I wanted to bring that up because the connections, being in the valley here, has been absolutely wonderful because of the local connections with the universities. The other piece with connecting with the universities is that these students, because the UMass students are undergrads, for some of our students who are interested in, what they're going to do in college and how they're going to sort of navigate college or even pay for college or what college is like, the undergrads who are, in this case, were anywhere from sophomores or juniors. We also had 1 or 2 seniors. They were able to sort of talk about their own experiences. So I want to continue this type of program. And again, I mentioned this was a pilot because the UMass students could only do a few lessons. I also think it's something that could be expanded. So in my greatest hopes, it might become some type of elective classes that's offered in the daytime. And moving right along, I love the fall season. These were just examples of bulletin boards in one of the hallways in school. These were some high school art drawings about sunflowers and pumpkins. The sunflowers came from the school garden. The pumpkins were, just pumpkins that we had bought and everything. For those of you who are parents, I think if you certainly you saw 4 or maybe 5 police cruisers come in at morning drop off yesterday. We did have the first lockdown drill of the school year. We are required to have was announced to staff, but not students. So this picture was after the lockdown drill, and this was the team. And just, I want to, as I have in the past at these board meetings, I do want to commend the faculty as well as the students for doing really well in these things. I know when Sandy Hook, unfortunately, that tragedy occurred and schools around the state did lockdown drills, there was a lot of concern about them. Now, fast forward over a decade, it does seem like the kids are well aware of how important these are, and they treat them like fire drills now. They just do it. This is the team from Hadley Police and Fire, State Police, and the Sheriff's Office that visited us. And so many of them also are very good with children. And actually, because the drill started at 8:40, many of these police and fire arrived during Carline, so a lot of the students saw them and they greeted them in the hallway before the drill. And certainly my hope is that the students and these first responders see each other as just fellow human beings, not as something to be feared, but that we work together. Okay, quickly moving on. The accountability plan, and I'm going to only give excerpts because of time. This is all available on the DESE website. This is what is called, it's an annual official accountability report. All public schools and public charter schools in Massachusetts get what's called an accountability report. In it, there are criteria which the Department of Education, one of the key sources of information are academic performance as evidenced through MCAS. So this is based on criteria for English and math and science performance on the March through June 2024 MCAS in grades 3 through 8. And then in high school, it's 9 and 10. And grade 10 is the, people will call it high stakes because this grade 10 MCAS is the one required for high school students to meet expectations. It's a graduation requirement for a Massachusetts diploma. So the summary number that schools look at or DESE looks at, and I'm not sure if you can see this, but you can always go to the website. There's accountability percentile. It is a number from 1 to 99. That's a percentile. We are at 99 percentile, meaning we are better than 99% of the other districts in the state. I'm not going to go into gory detail about this, but our performance has actually, it's very high. And I think one of the things that people should be proud of is we are a regional school having students from many different communities that are urban, suburban, and rural. And that is reflected in the demographic statistics of the state. If you look at the data for other schools or performance-wise, the districts that are in the high percentiles tend to be—
Excuse me, can I interrupt? Somebody my screen from somebody, and it's really disturbing me. I want to listen to what you have to say and not listen and not be disturbed by these messages flag up. Whoever's doing it, please stop it. Sorry, Kathy.
Okay, okay. So back to the accountability report. So this page is the summary, and this is a screenshot from the DESE webpage. And then just they do have more detail. They have a point system where they award points based on performance, and then they cut and slice this and everything. So I did want to just inform the board that this data is available. They do publish data for every year, although the MCAS years right after the lockdown, they didn't want to penalize all districts. So if one looks back at history, there's a few years after 2020 to 2022, where they had to sort of, the state redid some of the metrics just because they knew it was an unusual situation. Now, for a bigger picture sort of reflection on accountability overall, statewide, and this was just a quick screenshot excerpt, you can Google it yourself, about test-wide performance, okay? Test-wide performance, this picture is Secretary of Education Detweiler. He's a very well-respected person. He is quoted saying it's concerning. Statewide, I did attend a webinar that DESE had for school leaders. Statewide English scores really have not increased since the pandemic. So the quote at the bottom of this is an excerpt from this article. And again, there's many articles about this. Or lower in all grades compared to 2023 statewide, while math remained relatively unchanged. And science was sort of up and down. The science MCAS is in grades 5 and grades 8. And then for our school in 9th grade, we do high school biology. In high school, schools have a choice of which science MCAS they do. We choose to do the high school biology MCAS in 9th grade. Okay, there's no science MCAS in 10th grade in high school, but again, science is not all grades. In all other grades, they do English and math. I bring this up just to try to level set people in terms of performance statewide. The state is trying to understand why scores have not increased, for example, in English, and in fact have gone down statewide. They are also concerned, and I talked about this previously, about chronic absenteeism. And so that they're concerned that certain school districts, students just aren't returning to school. We had higher absenteeism, certainly in the years closer to like 2021, 2022, after the COVID period. Our numbers are back close to prior to COVID, but we still have some areas where there are pockets of absenteeism that are close to what is called chronic absentee. Chronic absentee is 10% or more of the time that a student is enrolled in the district that they are absent. So if somebody's here for the full 180 days, that means they're absent 18 or more days. The state does not care if those are excused or unexcused absences. In our case, our analysis is students who are out that much or close to 10% of the days that they're enrolled, it tends to be, believe it or not, parents opting to take a vacation, or we've had some students who've had health issues. And again, we excuse health issues, those absences, but the state counts absences as absences. So anyway, moving right along, that was the accountability report, and I am only doing some excerpts here. The next was about the annual survey. So we do a survey of parents. This original survey was actually designed by a parent whose child has, well, the child is now in their mid-20s, was actually part of our inaugural class of students in 2007. But anyway, she was a professional survey designer. So the questions cover general satisfaction. So this question I'm displaying is actually question 1, which is an overall describe your family's experience. The Survey Monkey software aggregates this. So you can see that, we have what I would call statistically a large enough sample size, although I have noticed that less parents respond than, the earlier days, 15 years ago when we were smaller. But I think that's actually normal. We still have pretty good participation in surveys compared to what might be, what a market research company might say, where it's, 5% or something. But that said, if you look at this, the parents rating good, very good, or excellent in terms of their overall experience. Get into more depth. And again, I'm taking excerpts of this because of time. I hope you can read this. This actually is also graphed by the software tool, but this is because I didn't want to show you like 10 pages of graphs. These are the questions and then the percentiles. It does have a scale from very dissatisfied to very satisfied. But these questions are asking really about curriculum, quality of instruction, things like, how do you feel about, does it meet the needs? This section was about the elementary, where we have English classrooms and Chinese classrooms. If you look at the percentiles, the way to read this is in the way it's structured is we want higher percentages, obviously, in the satisfied or very satisfied side on the right-hand side of these columns. We did give an option, and again, the original design was somebody who's a professional survey designer. Obviously, the columns on the left are the unhappy, very dissatisfied. In the middle, there's a neutral sort of column as well. So overall, the majority of the responses are on the satisfied, the right-hand side. Because this page was too big for a screenshot, this is the second page, which also talks about instructions and whether the students got feedback and things like that. I do think that some of the things that we were very interested in were just Chinese versus English, because we are a unique school. So this data is also stuff that we do provide to DESE as well. Moving right along, in an English classroom and a Chinese classroom, it's not like the same immersion model. There are subject-specific teachers. So the questions for that, and again, I just took an excerpt. This is one related to Chinese. The questions, you could substitute the word English versus Chinese versus math, but the questions are worded similarly again, so that the questions are ones that elicit what we are trying to elicit in terms of how parents feel or perceive, for example, in this case, the Chinese class. Again, the Likert scale is going from very dissatisfied to satisfied, left to right. Most of the answers are on the right-hand side with satisfied. So, for example, this is like, did we incorporate Chinese culture into the curriculum? What's the overall quality of the instruction? Did it meet the individual needs of my student? Did the teachers communicate with families, and was I kept informed? So we asked this set of questions for every subject in middle school, and then like 9th and 10th grade. For the IB program, the International Baccalaureate program in high school, so it's only 11th and 12th grade. We also covered each subject. So there's multiple subjects, English, math, 3 different sciences this year, actually 4. So it's physics, biology, chemistry, environmental science. We cover psychology, business, theater. I mentioned English, Chinese, math. So we have a section of questions like the one I'm showing you here, but again, just change IB English to say IB Chinese or IB psychology to satisfied. And again, the majority of the respondents who are parents said satisfied or very satisfied. I was interested in the fact that some sort of were neutral, but what I will say is that typically by high school, sometimes parents are less involved and their students are really the ones that are more like in-depth knowledge about the coursework. But it does give us an indication of overall sort of satisfaction or dissatisfaction program. The survey does, and I am jumping around just because I didn't want to display 56 pages of slides, but I'm jumping forward. So the parts I showed you really covered curriculum, instruction, communications about the academic program. We also asked about communication, so parent engagement. So this question says, during the school year, how often did you meet with someone at PVCICS regarding an issue of concern with your K? And then it says through 12. It got cut off when I tried to print this. Your K through 12 student. And the answers here were, whoops, oh, sorry, where am I? Here. The answers were ranging from, far less than I preferred to far more than I preferred. But you can see that in the middle, the most respondents were saying, I met with someone at PVCICS at the exact frequency that I preferred. So, this question really is to try to elicit parent input in terms of, did you feel you could contact somebody about an issue during the school year? Question here is, did you initiate the communication? Because one of the things we also wanted to understand was, did the parents feel comfortable initiating that communication? And so in this one, it's sort of split, but the two top bars, the green and the blue, did say, yes, I did it on more than one occasion, and then yes, I did it on one occasion. And then there was about, the yellow bar is no, I didn't initiate communication. So, and then related to that, so this is question 28, the other is question 27. How would you describe the outcomes? Again, these are for people who initiated communication. So the two bars were, the first bar is all of the issues I raised were resolved. The second one, the blue, was some of the issues were resolved. And then the last bar is none were resolved. So, overall, there are pages and pages of the survey. Overall, it's pretty positive. We do use it internally, and we provide this to DESE. And, well, this I just want to show that the system went down, so I was going to try to show you live stuff from DESE, but that's probably, they're going to go till whenever. But that's the last, and I'm sorry, Nick, I think I took more than 15 minutes.
No, I was concerned that somebody was messaging at the bottom of the page, and the messages were totally distracting. And you're presenting a lot of information. It needs focus. And thank you very much for your presentation.
You're welcome. I did want to just, if I could, I'm catching up with some of the chats in terms of either contact me, contact the teacher. We know that in certain situations, teachers run out of slots. That's normal in school districts, and we're happy to set up another one. Okay. I don't know what so this even on agenda. Okay. Oh, okay. All right. I'm going to turn it back to you. Sorry, Nick. I just wanted to address anything in the chat if people have questions.
I mean, Kathy, you could talk briefly about the retaliation issue of the survey, because there were a lot of
Liz, please. I don't want
to.
I mean,
it's like, why
no,
not
please stop it, Liz.
Okay.
Otherwise, we're going to have to do something about you. We don't want to do that. Okay, please stop it. Okay, I'm taking back the meeting, I think, at this point. Okay, executive directors. Oh, hang on. Okay, we've got the executive director's update for this, and 300 Venture Way.
Okay, so the 300 Venture Way, basically the building is being maintained right now. The focus is on repairing the HVAC systems, and so actually there's workmen doing structural work to support the new HVAC systems that are being installed, and so that's current activity. We had a professional development day last week, and during that time we invited a lot of teachers to come over and look at the new building. I think that's sort of changed some perceptions of what the building is about, and I think there's a lot of the staff recognizes that the building presents a lot of opportunities, and we're still figuring out how we're going to use the building. We are going to have some teachers meet with the architect to talk about things they'd like to see in the facility, and I'd like to create additional opportunities for other folks to see the building, but we're sort of moving down that path. Nothing's been decided, and all of it's going to be brought in front of the board to decide which directions you guys want to go, but we will have some preliminary ideas based on feedback from different folks. And again, the idea is that we really wouldn't be using the building in a meaningful way until the fall of 2025. In terms of the charter amendment, we're going to be having a meeting in November with some representatives of the board and the administration to talk about the amendment. There are opportunities for parents to give feedback about the charter amendment, and we'll be looking to work with people to see if they want to support the amendment or not. Clearly the amendment reflects what the vision of the school was many years ago. It's been what was requested in 2013, I think, was the year of the amendment, and so and it's in some sense a very modest move in terms of expanding the headcount, and it's principally focused on the high school. Really no impact on student population in the elementary school. It sort of makes it the notion for the middle school that there'd be 3 cohorts of 20 students per grade in the middle school, which we're a little under that right now. And clearly in the high school, it would also be 3 cohorts per grade in the high school, which we're well under. And so the focus is in increasing the size of the high school to be really make it a more functional high school, because it's hard to operate with as few students that are there right now. In terms of student recruitment, we're starting our recruitment activity right now. We've got, it's really just begun in the last few days. The first information session is the first Saturday in November, so we'll see what the turnout is. We are getting, I think we have 8 or 10 applications right now, but I mean, we only started a couple of days ago. And so that's about it. Unless people have any specific questions, I'd be glad to answer them. Okay. We can move on.
Okay, let's move on then. We've got the executive directors 2023-24 evaluation.
Yeah, and that's just sort of to give everybody a heads up, because we're going to need to do another evaluation. I will create documents for board members to fill out. It is a public process, and so parents will have an opportunity to remark on my performance as well. There's a very formal procedure that we use at this point. And so I'll start generating the documents that the board will use for doing the evaluation, and also providing evidence regarding the goals that were approved, a year or more ago.
Look forward to that. All right, let's see. New business. This is obviously just for the board. It's not for visitors. Do we have any new business? I hear nothing. All right.
Can I just want to thank Kathy for her presentation and the clip that she chose from the Department of Ed. One of the things I think we need to remember that we have to remember who's giving the information. The Department of Ed, the English turned out the way it did because last year they raised English score to the same score as math. So therefore math is no change, but English did change because they had to score higher for passing rate. Science probably would have been higher had they not from February to June decided to raise their score to the same as the English and the math score without people given the prior knowledge. So I think the commissioner was a little misleading with his comments, knowing exactly what happened in the background. So I think that sometimes we just need to remember that we can make data and make information say what we want it to say. And that's not to discredit anybody, but that's also to just being transparent about the information that's put out there.
Thank you very much, Cynthia. Do we have any other new business? If not, I'll move to adjourn. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I hear a second.
Yes.
All right. Do I have probably no discussion, right? Any discussion? Nothing. All right. Let's move to the roll call, and after which we will shut the Zoom down. All right.
I'm sorry, Nick, we did not welcome Francesca back.
Oh, no, but it's too early. The vote is going next week. There's been a delay in the there's been a technical issue that is being resolved right now.
Okay.
All right. So that's why we haven't welcomed the students back, but that's all been taken care of. All right, Cynthia, you vote to adjourn? Yes?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And did you arrive? No. All right. Gina,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Greg's not here still. Frank?
Yes.
Okay, Iris?
Yes.
And we don't have official high school students yet, so we'll leave that off. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you very much for the visitors and for all the comments and so on. We'll close the meeting at this point then. Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.